We need to talk about the Florida Panthers. What if I told you the Panthers were destined to win the Stanley Cup this year? They are the Cinderella story of this year's NHL playoffs, and them defeating the best team in NHL history isn't even the craziest part of their journey. Have you heard of the player Buddy Robinson? Yeah, me neither. But he is the reason this whole thing even became possible for the Florida Panthers. So Buddy Robinson plays for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I know he did nothing wrong here. He's just trying to make a name for himself. But at the time, he had the Penguins fans and Blackhawk fans in uproar, but for different reasons. For the Penguins, it was one of two must-win hockey games for us to make the Stanley Cup playoffs against the two worst NHL teams in the league. Easy, right? Right? Well, it was a 1-1 game halfway through the third period, and then Buddy Robinson goes on the ice and makes it a 2-1 game for the Blackhawks.
Late last night from Chicago. It's one-shot score. It's Buddy Robinson.
When Buddy Robinson scored this goal for the Blackhawks, you should have seen their Twitter. It was absolutely crazy. Every fan was so upset because they were last in the NHL. Them winning this game would not make them last and make the odds worse to get Bedard. Obviously, at the time, you guys did not have Bedard. So this goal was tremendously hurtful towards your odds of getting the great Bedard. So this goal changed many different outcomes in the NHL. This goal meant Blackhawks had less odds of getting Bedard. This goal had the Penguins getting knocked out of the playoffs. And this goal made the Panthers locked into the Stanley Cup playoffs at the chance of Lord Stanley. Blackhawk fans, what if Buddy Robinson did not score this goal and you guys ended up losing that game and you guys were last in the NHL? Do you think you'd still get Bedard or not? Or maybe that goal was perfect for you to get a third and win Bedard. I don't know. It's hypothetical. Who knows? So at the beginning of that day, Panthers were on the outside looking in. Slim chances to getting in the playoffs. They were rooting for the Penguins' downfall, and they got it perfectly set in their lap that they made it playoffs without even having to do anything. They didn't really have to do anything. Penguins lost, so they were in. But they were looking in the eyes of the best NHL team in history, the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins obviously were the hottest team in the NHL. They're the best in every single category. Best goaltender, best depth, best trade deadline acquisitions. So this team was pretty much Stanley Cup champion bound. They were even the sports betting favorites heavily through every app. They were crazily favored to win the Stanley Cup, and they were destined to, right? Best team in NHL history. They're supposed to win the Stanley Cup, but the Florida Panthers had something else in mind. Every other team was scared to play the Boston Bruins going to the playoffs, except one person. Matthew Tkachuk made sure his team was not afraid of the big bad Bruins, and it showed. It really did show. And for the first round against the Bruins, it was kind of a slow start for the Panthers. They were down 3-1. They lost first game 1 second with a big comeback there, and they lost both home games in Florida honestly pretty badly. They got absolutely smacked, and after that, down 3-1, really no one expected anything else except the Bruins to move on. And I feel like we weren't really wrong to think that, to be honest with you. They were the better team, man. They looked better, but boy, Sergei Bobrovsky came into the series and lit it up and stole the show. For example, game number 5 in TD Garden, must-win hockey game for the Panthers. Bruins almost had 50 shots and went into overtime. Panthers only had 25 shots, and they ended up winning in overtime. One bad bounce could have ended the Panthers season, but nope, it went their way, and they forced a game 6 back in Florida, which is a tough barn, but they did just lose 2 previous games there to Boston. But they did play very, very well and put up the puck in the net. Huge third period by the Panthers. They were down going into the third, and they came back. A huge victory for them. 7 goals on the best team in NHL history. That's a very good achievement. And now all they have to do is go back to TD Garden and win a must-win game 7. And that's exactly what they did. Win in overtime. A big clutch tying goal by Brandon Montour the last minute of the game to force overtime game 7. So everyone dreams of Mr. Overtime Clutch, Carter Verhaeghe. Game winner, absolute snipe, by the way, absolute snipe on Swayman, ends the series down 3-1. Very, very tough task, especially against the best team in history, to make them go to the second round. And that's absolutely nuts. No one expected that. The highest of highs right there for the Panthers are right now. And now they got to go play a buzzing Toronto Maple Leaf team that honestly, not one person said the Panthers are going to win. I'll be honest, I said the same thing. I said Maple Leafs are going to win, but I feel like it was recency bias as they did beat Tampa Bay. So we were like, okay, They gotta win. They got the superstars, man. They got the superstars. But Matthew Tkachuk is a superstar, guys. Even though the second round, Matthew Tkachuk did not score. That's how you know you have a superstar in your team, when you could win a series and him playing very well and not scoring a goal in the series. That's how you know you have a guy. You have a dog. You have a dog. Matthew Tkachuk played very, very well against the Maple Leafs, and they still won without him scoring a goal. That's how you know you have a championship Stanley Cup team with your best player not scoring a goal and you're still winning. Just like Dallas with Robertson, he's not scoring that many goals right now, besides he did in the Vegas series so far, and them still winning. That shows the caliber of your team. And that's exactly what the Panthers are doing, man. Carter Verhaeghe is scoring in all cylinders, by the way. They made this this Toronto team look not very good, man. I know they have the superstars, and I know they did not perform, but you can't just say, oh, they were playing good. I mean, they weren't at the same time, but the Panthers were playing very, very well defensively against them. Barkov played very well defensively against them, and their decor is actually pretty damn solid. Montour he's been very, very good as a Panther. This was a series that Tkachuk wasn't highlighted, man. He wasn't the best player on the ice. I think Anthony Duclair was one of the best players in the entire series. I think he played very, very well and gave the Panthers a lot of big goals and a lot of momentum throughout the series. And they honestly manhandled the Maple Leafs. I know they won it overtime twice, I think. So that bounces one way or another. It could be a different series. But hey, they won all the series. They won all the overtimes before, and they're going to keep doing it. And that's exactly what they're doing. So they get past the Toronto Maple Leafs, which no one thought they would have, man. No one thought they would have. I didn't think they would either. And this team just keeps on rolling when they're the underdogs. Matthew Tkachuk loves it, and he's made the team love it. They love being underdogs. They roll into the conference finals as another major underdog against the Carolina Hurricanes. I even said it. Hurricanes are built for the playoffs, and they're built just to run and gun you down and make the horror for their defense. And that's exactly what they did. But the Panthers did not back down, and they're up currently 3-0 as of recording. They're up 3-0. Obviously, anything could happen. But looking at the history, Panthers are Stanley Cup Finals bound, and man, they are the underdogs, right? They're the underdogs. But we'll see what happens. But this Panthers team is unreal, and I think they're just destined, man. Penguins are a Stanley Cup caliber team. We have been for the last 16 years, right? Obviously, I know we've been losing first rounds, but anything can happen. We could have beat Boston, maybe. Probably not, maybe. But what if we didn't lose to the worst NHL team in the league? What if we didn't lose to two of the worst NHL teams in the league? Panthers would have been out. Panthers are out, and none of this can happen. Maybe Bruins are in the Stanley Cup champ in the finals right now. Who knows? But no. For some reason, the hockey gods said, no, we want Florida. They were the President's Trophies winners last year, and they were really, really bad. Now, they were a very upsetting team in the beginning of the year, and they somehow edged their way into the 8th seed. You know what? They deserve it. Let's bring a Stanley Cup to Florida, but not Tampa Bay, baby. We're going to the Panthers, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to beat Carolina in 4 or 5. Probably not 4, maybe 4. It'll be whatever. That'll be kind of crazy. Then they're going to play Vegas or Dallas, and I think they have both of their numbers. I don't think they'll be the underdogs in the Stanley Cup final, so we'll see what happens there. If they play Dallas, I do think they're the underdog. If they play Vegas, I think Florida is favored in my opinion. So we'll see what happens when they're not the underdogs, but I just think they have too much momentum. Tkachuk is unreal. Bobrovsky is standing on his head. I don't know what. Obviously it has to be Bobrovsky for the MVP of the playoffs. I don't think Tkachuk could get it. Bobrovsky has been too damn good, like historical numbers, and I think they are gonna win the Stanley Cup. I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's 100% destined to go to the Florida Panthers this year. It just makes sense. If you look back at all the stuff that happened for this to happen, it just makes sense that they were destined to win the Stanley Cup. Comment down below if you agree, but this story of how this all came into fruition is just crazy. And it just can't, imagine all this happening just for them to lose in the Stanley Cup Finals. That'd be absolutely horrible. If it's to Vegas, I'm actually happy about it. I'm living in Vegas. I want Vegas to win. But I just think Panthers are too strong for all the remaining teams. And I think they're going to roll and ride as underdogs to the Stanley Cup. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this type of video, please drop a comment. And make sure to leave another video idea for me to do in the future. All that kind of stuff. Once again, guys, be great. And I'll see you guys in a different video. See ya.